SS the Showstopper, and welcome to my channel. If it's your first time passing through, thank you so much for stopping by. And for all those who are subscribers, all those who have been here from the inception, thank you for staying with me. Thank you for your patience. Like I said, I'm trying to be more consistent in my posts, in my videos, and bestow my information onto you guys. Today I want to speak on something that relates to our culture. I did a brush over in the last two videos that I did. The last one, especially in the last part, I made a statement that a country that is without heritage, will have difficulties in getting gifts. And I know a lot of persons were questioning what does that mean and all of that good stuff. But I was speaking in reference to a country that has lost its culture, has lost what makes it unique to the world. And as a group of people, they have problems getting gifts, meaning that what makes them stand out when it comes to their talent, their ingenuity, their innovativeness, all of that, it will become a problem for them to be naturally gifted. And I'm going to go way back, way back. I see some vloggers have been tapping into the Thomas Sowell. A lot of them have been tapping into the W.E.B. Du Bois, quite a few, the Marcus Garvey and stuff like that. The philosophers of yesteryears who was giving us information about us as a people. What I realize is that a lot of these vloggers, when speaking on these individuals and on these philosophers, they speak mainly on the fact that they were trying to identify Black people as indifferent, strong, resilient, intelligent persons who are above what the world portray Black people or melanated people to be. However, a lot of them have spoken about the ills within the Black community. Marcus Garvey have spoken it, Malcolm X have spoken it, Martin Luther King Jr. have spoken it, W.E. Du Bois spoke on it. So many persons who have passed on. Even Dr. Frances Cresswell Singh, she has spoke on it also. Quite a few persons out there. I think it's Elijah Khalid Mohammed have spoken on it also. But when the vloggers are speaking on these people, or when a lot of these educators are speaking on these people, they tend to not speak on the ills that are within the Black community that these persons have brought forward to the public to make it known that there were in-house problems, there were in-house situation, and in order for us to correct it, we simply have to acknowledge the fact that we cannot save everyone. I spoke about it on my previous videos that you cannot save everybody. There are some people out there who are determined to stay in the condition that they're in mentally. They are determined to stay in the condition that they're in physically. They have accepted it. They have found peace with it. They have decided to make happiness out of it. And because of such, you simply cannot save those who do not want to be saved. They see themselves as no way out, and that's what it is, and you cannot make it better. Okay, so taking a step back, way back, right? What we're seeing now in the Black community, whether it be in the US, whether it be North America, whether it be in the Caribbean, a lot of things that we have seen, in particular in Jamaican space, because I'm a Jamaican, so I can speak on behalf of Jamaican when it comes to this. A lot of things that Jamaicans have taken on, a lot of Black people have taken on to ourselves and have decided to make it culture, are things that were culture to other ethnic group. I'm going to break it down for you. So a lot of things, for example, stealing, glorifying stealing, lying, glorifying dishonesty, what should I say, humanizing, glorifying whoredom, threesome, this, that, glorifying debauchery, what should I say, broken homes, glorifying being an absent father, glorifying being a deadbeat, glorifying not caring, you understand, prostitution, all of these kind of things, you understand me, being proud of it. These are cultures that other ethnic group once practiced. If we go back all the way back to, I think, the 18th century, they spoke of the Highlands of Scotland and the lowlands in Ireland. There was a small group of people, a small community of people who were like this. That was their culture. That was their practice. You understand? They had something called, I think it's the jewel, wherein if it's simple as this. If I say something to you that you don't like and you consider it disrespectful, or we have had an agreement to something and you decide to renege on your promise or not hold up to the end of your bargain, and I decided that I'm going to get someone else to do the job or to complete the job of which you did not start, or you have started but did not complete, they decide that they are going to return with several people and we're going to have a shootout, and who dies, who live, and that's just the end of it because I was disrespected by you. That's how they think. That's how they process information. That was their culture. Getting women pregnant, breeding up multiple women, including a lot of times their own children, getting a whole lot of women pregnant, hopping off to somewhere else, not giving a damn about the woman, being very abusive to the woman, doing all sorts of ills when it comes to the society where women have to turn to prostitution, women have to turn to a whole lot of things in order to feed the children. All of those things were practiced by those culture of people back then. They did it. There's something that they call the redneck. There's something that they call the antebellum South. I'm sorry. And listen, before I go any further, for those who are already knowledgeable of what I'm speaking of, just listen, okay? Sometimes you are not the person to bestow certain information on a particular group of people. Sometimes I am not the individual either. A lot of times people want to hear the information, but they don't want to hear it from you. They want to hear, but they don't want to hear it from me. So there are a group of people out there who would like to hear it from me. It could be the fact that they're busy at work, so they don't have time to read. Not that they don't like to read, but because they're busy and their work take up a lot of their time, they much rather ride and whistle so they can work and listen as they go along. I happen to provide that space to a lot of people. Not only that, there are some people out there who want the knowledge, but maybe it's not resonating with them coming from someone else. Maybe someone like me who look like them, but I'm about something different. Probably that's the case. They rather hear it from me. So with that being said, if you're already knowledgeable of that which I speak of, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Anybody, we can both share information, exchange information. You can leave it in the comment section. And for those who don't know, sit back and relax. So back to the subject matter. There were those group of people in Scotland and also in Ireland who behave like that. If you don't believe me, there's a new series called Roots that you guys can watch. I think it's a 4-episode series. And there's a particular part in it where there's a slaver and he was Irish. Now, there was this white man who did not like the Irish, and he wanted to know why the guy hated him. And when the guy decided to break it down, all the things that I just spoke of was his behavior. They live into whoredom, they will save a cent and spend $1, they will get drunk, they will beat up women. That was their lifestyle. And that was what the guy described to the Irish, why he did not like them. What did the Irish do in the series? He decided that he wanted to settle a score. And in settling the score, they want to have a duel or a Russian roulette or a shootout. You understand? Because he thought that the guy was constantly disrespecting him and he couldn't take it. And there's no other intelligent way, no other intelligent way to settle the dispute or the disagreement that he had with the guy for him not liking him. And he thought that a game of death was the best way in order to say. And this was a slaver. This was a planter. This was a rich white Irish. So it made no difference. Point I'm trying to make is that in Ireland, places in Scotland, the behavior was similar to that of now. That's where it comes from. No, when those persons migrated, they went into the south. When they went into the south, it was the same thing. The same antebellum South that I speak of in the United States, the behavior was the same. It was the same drinking. It was the same gambling. It was the same prostitution. It was the same stealing. It was the same, letting out waste, human waste, just about anywhere. It was just the same behavior. Abusing women, abusing children, through whether it be sexual abuse, whether it be physical abuse, violence, all these type of things. This was what they were known to do. Spreading discord among each other, creating problems, unnecessary problems. They would gouge each other eyes out in a fight that stemmed from a simple argument that was said that the other party didn't like. That was how they functioned. That was their way of life. And that was that for them. Now, what happened is that a lot of persons up north wasn't about that life, especially the persons who were free, black persons who were particularly free. They were living like, I would say, sycophant, but it has its advantages and its disadvantages. So I would say they were living like sycophants or sycophants, or depends on how you guys choose to pronounce it, which means that they were being obsequious, which means that they were living their life to appease to white people because it was a survival mode. I spoke about this with the Marcus Garvey persons who were irate at Marcus Garvey trying to dictate to African Americans then and stuff. And I was saying that it was a means of survival back then. So you had a lot of black persons who were free up north, and they crossed their T's, they dot their I's, they were educators. They tried to find themselves somewhere that was meaningful so they could be seen or deemed upstanding citizens in the society. With persons that were in the South and other places in the US back then, it wasn't like that for them. So they had to come up with innovativeness. They had to come up with ingenuity, I guess, come up with creativity. They had to come with something in order for them to make a living, in order for them to stand out, because the odds were basically stacked against them. They didn't have the opportunity, like most, to get an education up north, to get an education to apply themselves. A lot of lynching was taking place in the South. They were marginalized. They were subjugated. These people, I wouldn't use the word disenfranchised yet, because we're talking about post-slavery. So I wouldn't introduce the word disenfranchised yet, because there wasn't much for them to have for them to be disenfranchised. But a lot of things were taking place with them in the South. Now, what a lot of persons in the South did was move because they wanted education. They wanted the opportunities that were being provided to persons who were ex-slaves, in particular black people, that is. You understand? And so they moved away. They wanted to learn trade. They wanted to learn skill. They wanted education. And so many moved away. Many took the chance of moving away and trying to apply themselves. There were others who also moved away. But what they did, that they brought whatever it is that they learn and develop as a culture within the black space, they brought it up north and they brought it with them and tried to make a culture, tried to make a survival mode, for themselves. So when they brought that culture, the same thing, the drinking, the smoking, the gambling, the prostitution, the pimping, the selling of narcotics, all of these type of things. I think back then it was bootlegging of alcohol and stuff like that, that they learned back then from the mob up north. They applied it. Everything that was ill, that was deemed survival mode, was what they applied to themselves back then. And so a lot of persons from the South decide to associate themselves with questionable character and make certain things culture. The problem is that a lot of them became the ruling class. What I mean by became the ruling class mean that they began leading the community. They started having a voice. I'm lapsing, guys. Forgive me, okay? Remember, I have speech problem. They started applying it as a culture, and they also have a voice. They develop a voice where they could speak, they could influence people. Now, upon influencing people, they start to make people feel emboldened, brave, to embrace who they are and who they represent, whether they were prostitutes, whether they were pimp, whether they were drug dealers, whether they were, all these type of things. And even homosexuality back then, they were told to embrace it. It was an endearment. And so they were embracing it and making it a culture at the time. And so the educators who tried their best to reel a lot more melanated / black people out of the dilapidated condition that they were in, it became somewhat of a fiasco because their voice were being diminished. because there were so many persons who had economic setbacks, even in up north. So many of them, those from the south, even also went up north. A lot of them had great economic setbacks, and they decide that instead of relying on getting an education, which they think was a waste of time, they convince themselves that they aren't intelligent enough, so they want the easy way out of making $1 tomorrow, of getting rich quick. And because of such, they decide that they are going to go into the survival mode. And so they apply themselves to the ills of society, make it a culture, and unfortunately their voice became the ruling class then, and overshadow the educators, the intellectuals of the society. Hence, you had the thing spreading like a wildfire in the black community. And now we have a situation where in even the very Caribbean, a lot of things have become a culture. We have seen it in the entertainment field, wherein so many persons are embracing whoredom. Many persons are embracing galley culture. It is whoredom, because the reason I say it is whoredom is that when we speak on whoredom in and of itself, from the biblical aspect, the Bible did not put an identity or put a sexuality to it or put a gender to it. It says whoredom, those who live in whoredom. It did not put an identity to it to say it's a woman or a man. So I'm speaking in general. I'm speaking from both gender when I speak of a lot of things that they promote in the society today, which, have unfortunately tainted the black community, and people are adopting it and making it a culture. And that's why in today's society you will find so many ills that are taking place, and people are just okay with it. People are saying, okay, that's it, that's how it goes, it is what it is. They won't deviate, they won't try to understand, they won't try to change. They will, because I saw man stay, I saw woman stay, I saw this stay, I saw that stay. You understand? So now you see where it's coming from. The only issue is that instead of it getting better, instead of we evolving as a nation of people, instead of us growing and moving away from it, instead of us advancing, it has gotten worse, where we're promoting degradation in the society, where you're proud to be a degenerate, you're proud to be a low life, you're proud to be a subhuman. These are the problems that are in the society now. And I said before that when you promote these things in society, where the nation has fallen into some sort of disastrous situation, it's going to make it extremely difficult for other nations to show empathy or to be sympathetic to our condition, because they're going to say these are the animals, these are the subhumans, that's how they behave. And so we're not expecting, they can get over it, because they're always partying, they're always being facetious, they're always making light of extremely serious situation. So they can get over this one. I'm not going to send any aid, I'm not going to assist them, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that, because they are just okay. That's the point I'm trying to make. So we have to be careful of what we are putting out there. And like I said, instead of it becoming better, or we're improving or advancing, just like how other ethnic group have evolved from such culture, have evolved from that type of behavioral pattern, which, it took generation, but at least they're here. We are in it too long, and it's full time that we migrate from that situation. And like W.B. Du Bois said, you can't save everyone. So what a lot of persons are simply going to have to do is build a community that caters for them, their families, and like-minded individuals and persons out there who are of the same thought process as them. That's just the way it is. So I hope the younger generation out there can understand what I'm saying, since they aren't interested in probably listening to the older folks or persons out there who are textbook. I am breaking it down a little bit easier so you guys can understand that what you're practicing, what you're saying, what you're doing on social media, and you're thinking it's cool and it's trendy and it's this and it's that. There is a group of people that were seen as degenerates who practice the same culture. You understand? And like I said, the culture of Jamaica, we have been in too long, and it's time to move on. And unfortunately, the society is moving on to worse, because you can't be a voice of reason, a voice of influence, and then you're encouraging people to be worse, to not be better, to accept the situation and embrace it. You understand? Be empowered by it. These are the things that are taking place in the black community right now. And because of such, there has to be more voices of intellectuals that are coming out and trying to give younger people opportunities, trying to show them a different way. You can't sit down and say that they don't want to see. They don't want to see, they don't want to be, they don't want to hear it. You have to try. And when you have exhausted all options, that's when you decide that, okay, it's time to move on, because you have given all that you have. And history will show that this was the person, these were the persons, these were the group of people who tried their endeavor best to advance the Black community. However, they simply wanted to stay in their pit and be who they are and embrace it. So that's where I'm coming from right now. Like I said, we can't save everybody. But for those who don't know a way out, for all the young girls out there who don't know a way out, for all the young men out there who don't know a way out and thinking that your condition right now is what you are in and what you're used to and what you will stay in, I promise you it is not true. And another thing that I want you guys to understand, not because I speak on not seeing the value in a relationship right now based on what I see out there, it doesn't mean that I write off the opposite sex. It doesn't mean that I write off the opposite gender. Nothing like that. I'm just saying that it's extremely difficult to see, communicate, understand someone who has adopted to the negative version of the Black culture of which I just speak on. It's very difficult to communicate with them because there are persons who are, like I said, happy in their condition and the situation, and they embrace a lot of things that I simply don't embrace. So we don't share the same fundamentals and we simply will not go anywhere. You understand? And so my point that I'm trying to make right now as I speak is stay away from people who are trying to separate the genders. If you're a young person, stay away from people. When you see their videos, when you see their channels, when you see them on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I know young people don't really use Facebook, any other social media platform, once you see them and you see their messages about hate, their messages about ostracizing, vilifying, tearing down, pulverizing the image and reputation of the other gender or whatever the case may be, do not just scroll, block them, because the algorithm will recognize that you don't want to see this, you don't want to be a part of it, and so their voice will diminish. Because at this time, we can't be spreading hate. At this time, we certainly cannot be spreading hate. So you might want to block these pages, block these channels that you see that are out there promoting a separation between both genders of man and woman. You have to be careful, guys. It's out there. You have to be very, very careful. Stay prayed up, stay spiritual, and, you know, see a way out, because there is a way out. And it's good to gather in groups and be of value, be of worth, be of something of significance to your nation. Gather in groups, and it makes for a beautiful story. I promise you, it makes for a beautiful story. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you again on my channel. Bye-bye.